The Titanic was the largest and most luxurious ship of its time, but how clean was it really? How did the passengers and crew deal with the challenges of personal hygiene, sanitation, and disease prevention on board? And what happened to the hygiene standards after the ship hit an iceberg and began to sink? Let's find out. First of all, let's talk about the bathrooms. The Titanic had about 800 bathrooms for over 2,200 people, but not all of them were equally accessible or comfortable. The first-class passengers had the best facilities. They also had access to public bathrooms that were decorated with marble, tile, and brass fittings. The second-class passengers had to share bathrooms with other passengers on their deck, but they still had decent facilities. However, they had fewer bathtubs than first-class passengers, and some of them had to use communal showers. The third-class passengers had the worst conditions as they had to share only 2 bathtubs among more than 700 people. They also had fewer toilets and sinks than the other classes, and some of them were located outside their cabins or on different decks. The water pressure was also low, and the water was often cold or dirty. The crew members also had limited access to bathrooms depending on their rank and duty. The officers had their own bathrooms, while the stewards and stewardesses had to share bathrooms with the other crew members or passengers. The engineers, firemen, and coal trimmers had to use communal washrooms near the boiler rooms where they worked in hot and dusty conditions. The Titanic also had a barber shop, a Turkish bath, a swimming pool, and a gymnasium for the passengers' entertainment and relaxation. These facilities were mostly reserved for first-class passengers who paid extra fees to use them. These facilities were supposed to keep the passengers clean and healthy, but they also posed some risks of infection and contamination. For example, the barbershop used the same razors and scissors for multiple customers without sterilizing them. The Turkish bath didn't have proper ventilation or drainage systems, creating a humid and moldy environment. The swimming pool didn't have any filters or chlorine to kill bacteria or parasites in the water, and the gymnasium didn't have any towels or disinfectants to wipe off the sweat and dirt from the equipment. The Titanic also faced some challenges in disposing of its waste and garbage. The ship had a sewage system that pumped the waste from the toilets into tanks below the waterline. The ship also had a garbage disposal system that burnt or dumped the trash into the ocean. The Titanic also tried to prevent diseases and epidemics on board by following some health regulations and precautions. The ship had a hospital with a doctor and a nurse who could treat minor injuries or illnesses among the passengers and crew. The ship also had a quarantine area where they could isolate anyone who showed signs of contagious diseases such as typhus or cholera. The ship also required all third-class passengers to undergo a medical inspection before boarding to check for any signs of disease or infection. However, these measures weren't enough to ensure the health and safety of everyone on board. The ship didn't have enough medical supplies or equipment to deal with serious or complex cases. The ship also didn't have any vaccines or antibiotics to prevent or cure diseases. The ship also didn't have any thermometers or hydrometers to monitor the temperature and humidity levels on board, which could affect the spread of germs or mold. The hygiene situation on the Titanic worsened after the ship hit an iceberg and began to sink. The passengers and crew faced many challenges and dangers that threatened their health and survival. For example, the water that flooded the ship was freezing cold, which could cause hyperthermia or frostbite. The water also carried dirt from the ocean or the ship's waste tanks. The water also damaged the ship's electrical system, which caused power outages and fires. The power outages affected the lighting, heating, and ventilation systems, creating a dark, cold, and suffocating environment. The fires produced smoke and toxic fumes that could cause respiratory problems or poisoning. The ship's kitchens and pantries were flooded or destroyed by the water or fire, leaving little or no food for the people to eat. The ship's water tanks were also damaged or contaminated by the water or fire, leaving little or no fresh water for the people to drink. The ship's bathrooms were also flooded or broken by the water or fire, leaving little or no place for the people to relieve themselves. The hygiene on the Titanic was a reflection of the social and technological conditions of its time. It was a factor that influenced the lives and deaths of many people on board. Thanks a lot for watching this video, and don't forget to leave a comment down below and let us know what you thought about this topic.